So as you probably noticed, on Friday, Cheddar Flow launched a completely new iteration to the entire platform on Friday of last week. There's now a lot more data, and you could even scroll all the way to the right over here. You can see what type the order is just based on this. So you don't actually have to go into the order details, although you still can. You can look at a bunch of different things there as well. Also, one of the best things about this new update is you can look at the bid and below the bid orders. Make sure to go into filters in the top right and select both of these, and you'll be able to see them right after. It'll update right away. You can look at both of those to see when whales are potentially getting out of a position or just selling to open on those positions. So it's going to be a lot more data coming through. Also, power alerts is a very interesting update to the original feature because now it is optimized for the best orders that come through. So only the best orders that this algorithm finds, it's going to show up on here, and you can see basically how it's performed over a long period of time, 10 days to be exact. So over a 10-day time period, you can see how it performs each day. Some of them, of course, are going to expire worthless because of that 10-day time span. But with any order, it's always good to have a exit criteria beforehand in terms of risk, and these can be high probability setups that can work out in the end. So keep this in mind as well if you do want to look on here. And also, one of my favorite things that was implemented was, if you click over here, you can filter for dark pool premium. So for example, you can filter for over 300 million if you want, 500 million, even all the way up to 900 million orders throughout the day. So as you guys know, I like to look at about 300 to 500 million plus orders, at least for singular ones, dark pool prints that is. So I will be filtering it throughout the day using these criterias on here. So I really like this new update on here. Also, a lot of other things that were implemented as well, and I'll share that throughout the videos that we do going forward, but just wanted to show you guys some of the standout details right away, and we'll get right to the video. So we ended up seeing a high print, at least so far, from up here at the top of my purple box here on SPX. So we did have this high on the hourly that was followed by a pullback to the downside into the end of the week here. So it's very critical. If you remember from the last video, talked about a potential pullback, especially leading into early August. I talked about that in our Wednesday video last week. What's interesting is we do have this reversal date that was on Friday. So typically with my reversal dates, whatever the trend is heading into that date, for example, here would be Friday, you'll see the trend change in the opposite direction out of that date. So what's very interesting here is the trend was overwhelmingly up into this week, specifically Wednesday, and we only had one red day in between this time period and the Friday reversal date. So it's not an exact reversal. I would have preferred it to be more precise. An example over here, perfect example actually, is the March 13th reversal date from all the way back here. The trend was very clear heading into this date of March 13th, and it was followed by a clean upside move right after. And there's many other examples of it working afterwards, but this one's very similar, at least with the variables I used to derive the potential reversal. In this case, it worked very nicely. But over here, of course, the trend was overwhelmingly up into that Wednesday date. And then we saw red on Thursday. And then over here, we ended the day flat. It was only up 0.03%. So what that means for this week, we didn't have a clear direction established into that date. So that's one thing that we know. So I have to look at both scenarios. In this case, for example, if we have a break above roughly this 4,550 level on the hourly, which price has been unable to do since it fell below on Thursday, if we do have a break back above on the hourly here, then there will be more upside afterwards, potentially to make some form of a double top up here, or even take it a bit further to around 4,585/4,590 if it was able to break out above here. So watch for that, especially with Fomc on Wednesday. So if this is the case, we have an hourly close back within this supply zone, then there can be further upside afterwards, at least to this first level, and then a little bit after if it wants to. But just keep that in mind. A close back within this range can warrant some more upside in the very short term. I would expect if this would happen, it would only be about 3 days or so for a reversal to the upside, as that would be a part of this reversal date, because again, the trend wasn't clear going into it. We have to just watch both scenarios here. Otherwise, we can most definitely continue down from here. Remember, even if we did have that break back within the supply zone, and if there was a 3 or so day upside move, maybe through FOMC, eventual trend is still down for this pullback into about early August/mid-August, around that time range. So the next 2 or 3 weeks should have a downward bias, in my opinion, for this pullback to work. Also, same thing on QQQ, which is actually even more weak than the rest of the market compared to SPY and even the Dow, which actually is still fairly strong right now. QQQ QQQ did close below 376, which is going to be a key pivot heading into this week. Because as long as it stays below 376, there is an overwhelmingly bearish bias on it. This is going to be a level that I'm watching for because anything under this is going to warrant a lot more downside for it. If it gets back above, then it can have some pops afterwards, but this is the key pivot that has a lot of momentum towards that bearish side as long as we stay under. So keep that in mind for this week as well. And as always, check over here for the dark pool premium for last week, at least between Wednesday and Friday. There is a new dashboard, as you can see, like I shared with you guys earlier in the video, but over here, a lot more prints that are coming through. You can see there's even $6 million dark pool prints that are showing up now after the update, but the main ones that I'm interested in are the signature dark pool prints as well as the super large singular dark pool prints. So this over here would fit that signature dark pool print criteria, 2.6 billion worth of premium at the 452.29 level. So a decent amount, over 2.5 billion, which is always good to see. We're still not at that 3 billion plus in terms of consistency, but based on last week, if you remember the Wednesday video, we're looking at multiple 2 billion plus prints all around the 450 to 454-ish range. So I like to see that as potential distribution for my pullback thesis into early/middle August. So this was good to see on Friday. But if we go up here back to Thursday, which by the way, as you can see over here, we can look back past a week now at dark pool premium. So you could pick any day. You could even go all the way back here, July 5th, for example, on Wednesday. Click search between that time period, July 5th, as well as the current time period, which I wouldn't recommend because you're going to see a lot of data between now and then. But this is great because now you can look back at historical dark pool prints beyond the 1 week time span we had before, and you can look at all of those. So over here, for example, 3.5 billion at 454. Like I just said from previous print that I was showing you around 452, we've seen a lot in this range. 3.5 billion, 2.4 billion at 454 as well, 2.6 billion at 454. So this area, especially the 454 level, very hot area for these dark pool prints. If price can get back above, that would be bullish in the near term. But at the moment, as you can see, just based on SPY's close, over here, we did close at 452, so it is under at the moment below these very large prints. So just wanted to show you that feature as well. But if we go over here to Thursday, like I shared with you before, I just click both on Thursday because now, again, like I said, there's a lot more data. We did see 1.5 billion, not as much, but this was at the 455 level. So it still is above the current price of the S&P 500. And then Wednesday over here, as you can see, based on this date, we had 1.3 billion worth, also that 455 level yet again. However, if you look down a bit further here, we had 2.4 billion at the 454 level. So there's two large tranches of prints, basically, both at the 455 level as well as the lower end here, which is the main signature dark pool print zone. This was 454. So as you can see there, very consistent trend with 454 being an area of interest. So use that level, especially 454 to 455, that key range right there. If price can get above, then you're looking at a little bit more bullish price action in the near term. Otherwise, at the moment, we still are below that. My thesis is to have that pullback into early/mid August, and I believe that will end up happening here. And then there will be potential for a trade setup for a bounce around that August time period that I like to catch as well. But at the moment, eyes are on this pullback. I'll just focus on that as well as using a lot of the new features here on Cheddar Flow, which again, like I said earlier in the video, I will continue to share because there's a lot more data, first of all, but also there's going to be different types of setups now that there is bid and below the bid prints. So you'll be able to look for that in future videos. Make sure to subscribe below if you haven't yet. And other than that, appreciate you guys watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time on Wednesday.